Hello and welcome to our tutorial about linking between Excel and Microsoft Word. In a previous tutorial we talked about mail merges, and that's an example of how we can link a Word document to a base of data in Excel. There's another method as well, and it involves, in this case, our little example of my fantastic budget. So I have a chart based on data in a table. And I'm deciding that maybe this chart would work really well in a report that I'm writing in Microsoft Word. So what I do is I go and I click on the chart, and I can use the key combination of Control-C to copy it, or any other method you like to use to copy. Some people like to use the right click on the mouse. Other people will go up and use the buttons up in the clipboard to do copying. But in my case, I find Control-C is just much quicker. And then I will go to a nice blank document, and I will maybe type in, here is my first quarter budget. I love the fact that Word will go in and correct my spelling on the fly. Once again, makes up for my low typing skills. I have copied that chart, so if I go Control V, in a second or two, that fantastic chart should be in my Word document. I'm going to go ahead and, just for safety's sake, I'm going to go do a file save. And as I have done before, I'm going to scroll down and throw it into the appropriate folder. And I'm just going to call this, I'm going to say that this is my quarterly report. And I will go and save it. Now, if I go back to my database, and once again, I've got yelled at because of the amount I want to use on my vacation. I've been told to take it down from $3,000 to $300. As discussed in another tutorial, the moment you change the data in the table of data, the moment you hit that enter key, your chart should automatically change to reflect it. So suddenly my fun is a little more reasonable, and my mortgage turns out to be the highest cost in my quarterly budget. Now if I click on Microsoft Word, I should find that the chart has also changed here. So as soon as I make a change in the database, since the chart is linked, and in this instance, and in the past few versions of Word and Excel, copying a chart from Excel to Word or to PowerPoint, the linking is implicit. It's assumed that it's there. It's just assumed that you're connecting the two items. So again, if I go back and I change the original data back to my vacation amount of $3,000, and I tap my enter key, again, the chart changes, and in Microsoft Word, it changes there as well. You'll often find if you create a document such as this, then you save it and reopen it at a later point. Word will often say you have items within this document that are linked to other items. Would you like to refresh them right now? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to say yes, go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go down a couple lines here. I'm going to come along to Excel. I'm going to highlight this table of data, and I'll copy it. I will come to Word, and I will paste it in. Now, again, I'm going to have to come in here and maybe clean this up a little bit so it looks okay. And just take a couple of seconds to take care of that. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm just going to kind of clean it up a wee bit. Now, let's go back for a second. And I'm going to take a look. My $3,000 vacation is there, all that good stuff. I could also tighten up the rows by pulling them up a little bit. Oh, I might have some empty space in there too. Anyway, I'm going to leave it the way it is for now, just to show you how this is going to come together. If I come back to my Excel sheet, again, I change my amount there to 300. And I tap my enter key. Again, it changes here. it changes in the table. If I come back to Word, I'll notice though that this table has not updated. So even though the chart link is assumed, if I just do a copy and paste with a regular table, it's not assumed. So the table is not automatically linked. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to highlight this table and I'll just tap my delete key. And in fact, if that doesn't do it, I'll highlight it again. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this and I'm just going to cut it out of here. This time I'm going to go back to the database. I'm going to highlight the table one more time and I'm going to copy it. I will come back to Word, except this time I'm going to come up to the clipboard and I'm going to click on the paste command, not on the little picture, on the command itself. And I'll get a whole variety of different little icons. And I can link and keep the source formatting, or I can just link it and keep the destination formatting, which is the format of the document I'm bringing it into. I can even bring it in as a picture, and if it doesn't look so great as a picture, but if I bring it in as a picture, people can't edit it in any way. They have to go back to the actual original document. But in this instance, I'm going to go and keep the original formatting. And again, I'm not going to put you through the torment of readjusting the columns. You can do that yourself. It's simple clicking and dragging. But what I want to illustrate is the idea that when you use that little icon with the chain link, if you come back here to your database now and you change your vacation amount back to $3,000 and you tap your enter key, again, it changes here. And I'm going to make a mental note that I changed it back to $3,000. If I come back to Word, I will see that it's changed the chart, and as well, it's changed the amount down here. So again, keep in mind, if you're moving charts or copying and pasting them from Excel into Word or PowerPoint, the link is already established. But if you're copying the table of data, you have to make sure that you use a paste link in order to make sure that changes in the database get reflected in the document. One last little type of linking I want to talk about is, and I'll go back into the workbook here, I'm going to change this tab name to first quarter. And I'm going to insert another sheet as well. So I'll tap my enter key to make that name stick. I'll click the little plus sign to add in another sheet. I'm going to be kind of lazy here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this data, do a Control-C to copy it, come to sheet 2, and you'll see that even though I'm sitting in A1, down here it says select destination and press enter or choose paste. I'm just going to tap my enter key. Now, in this case, I've ended up with a bunch of pound signs. And what that basically means is that I don't have enough room. So if I come up here and again, I double click 1, 2, you'll see it's just widening out the column so there's enough space to show the numbers. So pound signs aren't bad. It just means you have to widen out the column. And if I have a bunch of columns to widen out, I'll make sure that the table is selected. I can very easily come along here and click my format button. And what I can do is I can say auto fit the column width, and it'll widen out all the columns so they can accurately portray the larger numbers. I'm going to pretend that this is my second quarter, just to make my life easier. And again, there we go. Now, of course, for a more extensive example, I would come in and make another couple of sheets for third and fourth quarter. Since my first quarter ended in March, my second quarter should start in April. And once I type in April, I can go and use the fill handle down here once again, pull across, and that will copy over May and June. I don't think I'm taking a vacation in June, so I'll just change that to 300. Now what I may want to do is I may want to do a summary sheet. So if I come along in here and I go new sheet, I'll just call it summary. And I will go first quarter total expenses. Maybe that's the stuff I'm interested in. And what I'm going to do here to cheat a little bit, because I don't want to type much more, I'm going to just click and drag down, click here, and I'm just going to turn this one to second. Tap my enter key. I'll double click to widen things out. And what I want to do is I want to link the cells from previous sheets to this one. So if I go ahead and I put in an equal sign, I can then go back and click on my first quarter tab and click where my grand total expenses are on that sheet. If I go ahead and tap my enter key on my keyboard, you'll see that it flips that amount in there. And if I click on the amount, it actually says it's equal to what's on first quarter, the first quarter sheet, in cell E6. I can do the same thing here. I click here, put in an equal sign, click on second quarter, click on the grand total there, tap my enter key, and if I want to just put in a total of these, it's very easy for me to come along and use my good old friend, the sum tool. Tap my enter to complete it. Now, these cells here are linked. So once again, let's say I do go a little bit nutty, wacky, kooky, and I decide that I will take a vacation in the second quarter. This one will be a more extravagant one. In this case, I'm going to go and spend $6,000 on this vacation. So of course, when I tap my enter key, the grand total changes. And in this case, wow, that's a pretty significant grand total. So I'll go and double click the column. And I should find that when I come back here, the new grand total of the expenses for the second quarter is sitting there, and the total here has changed. Once again, if I am not completely sure, I can highlight those two numbers, and whatever I've highlighted there should equate to the total down here, which matches the total here. And I will go back to the first quarter, and I'm just going to stay there, and I'll just click.